certified that this is the best wine east of Italy, and we'll be happy to publish my findings. And now we'll invite Victor to take the stage to tell us more.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you again to Financial Times. My part of the presentation will touch upon several other sectors other than manufacturing and IT. We want to make sure that Macedonia is an interesting place to invest regardless of whether we're going to speak about a particular sector here or not. We're actually not choosing and telling you what to invest in, but we're there to help you explore the opportunities to make sure that you use Macedonia either as a hub for your products and services for the wider European market, but also to explore what Macedonia and the region has to offer. So I'll touch upon a little bit. We discussed a lot in the previous panel about energy, tourism and real estate, agribusiness, minerals and exploration of minerals, medical devices, pharmaceuticals, and at the end I'll talk about the free zones. In the energy sector, as it was mentioned, first of all, most important thing is not only to create energy independence for each country, but also to make sure that from an energy standpoint there is connectivity with all the countries in the region, whether this is about national gasification projects, because now we have signed a deal with South Stream coming into Macedonia, and the government is actively working with EBRD on potential of expanding the gas pipeline network in Macedonia. But at the same time you can see quite a lot of energy projects in terms of production of energy, especially hydroelectric plants, fairly large projects with values that are listed here, but at the same time we're interested in renewable energies as well as transmission of electricity, which means connectivity of Macedonia not only with Greece, with Bulgaria, with Kosovo, but at the same time Serbia and Albania, because in many parts of the year Macedonia may be an importer, but at the same time it may be an exporter of electricity. Therefore this helps the stability of the energy grid, which is probably the most important thing, especially for companies that are coming into manufacturing and IT sectors. In terms of the tourism, there was even a question before about tourism and what Macedonia is doing about promoting the country. During the late 80s, we were actually, during the days of the former country, Yugoslavia, we were a very interesting and I would say even favored destination for campers from Germany that would come and visit Macedonia and stay a couple of weeks at a time. Unfortunately, the turmoil in the Balkans in the 90s made sure that the tourism numbers significantly dropped, and we are almost at the level of tourist numbers which we had back in 88, 89. You must have seen quite a lot of advertisement of Macedonia at international networks, whether this will be CNN, the Travel Channel, National Geographic, with a whole campaign, Macedonia Timeless, where Macedonia is presenting itself as a tourism destination. And what do we really have to offer? First of all, even though we're a small country, we have quite a lot of lakes. The Lake Ohrid is actually one of the 3 oldest lakes in the world, together with the Baikal Lake in Siberia and Lake Titicaca in Africa. And there are lots of natural beauties around the lake, and this lake is one of the unique places in the world. It's a dual UNESCO heritage site based on both culture and nature. At the same time, we have quite a lot of other locations around the country that offer different type of adventure tourism. You can come skiing, you can go hiking, you can go mountain biking, you can go different type of activities that would give the opportunity to explore Macedonia in a ways that maybe you have not thought of. Historically, Macedonia's history and culture goes back more than 6,000 years. This is a mixture of numerous civilizations, numerous religions, numerous cultures. So you can see a mix of the Eastern Orthodox religion, the Cyrillic alphabet was actually invented in Macedonia and spread to almost 300 million people around the world. But at the same time, you can see a lot of historical monuments, lots of churches, lots of mosques. And we believe that we're a very interesting destination with investment opportunities to both spa tourism as well as hunting. You can see that we've actually received some recent accolades. Lonely Planet put Macedonia as one of the top 10 countries not to be missed in 2014, and at the same time the World Economic Forum placed Macedonia as the 4th most friendly country in the world. So we really want to embrace foreign people coming and visit the country, and I think some of you that have already visited could attest to this, especially the investors that are already there. But at the same time, I would certainly invite everybody, not only for business, only for tourism as well, to come and visit the country and see what are the opportunities. What is important is the type of activities and the type of programs that the government has put together to increase the tourism numbers. First of all, what the Deputy Prime Minister mentioned are special type of incentive programs for organized tours that are bringing tourists to Macedonia. This type of subsidies range up to 60 euros, and we have seen quite a lot of passengers, especially from the Benelux countries and Netherlands, are coming in large numbers visiting Macedonia, and now the season has actually been extended. Many of them come at the beginning of April and stay to the end of October, which was certainly not the case even a couple of years ago. And this type of efforts by the government on promoting the country as a tourist destination, but at the same time in terms of actively subsidizing the tourists, has resulted in a quite large increase in terms of tourist numbers over the last couple of years, especially from countries of the European Union. And on top of this, we have allocated several locations around the country, in the lakes, in the south part of the country, as well as the mountain resorts, that we have created special tourism zones, very similar to what the free economic zones are, that I'll mention a little bit later. These are locations that the government is offering large plots of land that can be purchased at a starting price of only €1 per square meter. These locations, the government will provide the full infrastructure outside of the tourism zones. Within the tourism zone itself, the company has to decide what and present certainly what type of project in terms of real estate and tourism development that they're going to invest in. And at the same time, the companies would receive subsidies in terms of corporate tax holiday, in terms of VAT exemption for a period of time that they will need in order to get the project off the ground. And we already have interest from one large Indian company that is looking for potential investment in the southwest part of the country, and we're actively promoting the rest of the locations to find people that are interested in the tourism sector. In terms of agribusiness, still historically the agriculture is the largest part of the Macedonian economy. We have a very specific climate, a mixture of continental and Mediterranean climate. Areas of the country have almost more than 290 sunny days per year with very high quality soil, and this makes Macedonia a really good location for cultivation of vegetables and fruits. Even during the days of Yugoslavia, with a country of almost 25 million people, 90% of all the vegetables were actually grown in Macedonia, and close to 70% of all the fruits, which means that we have really a lot of capability for using Macedonia as a hub for production of fruits and vegetables and exporting to wider markets. I'm just mentioning here several opportunities, especially on the fruits and vegetables side. We're looking at production and purchasing and distribution centers, but at the same time would like to do a lot of processing, not just exporting raw material, but we would like to have food processing companies come to Macedonia, set up their facilities and export these products in the European market. And recently we see interest also from the Gulf states. A company from Dubai will be actually setting up a center for apples in Macedonia. And finally, my colleague mentioned about the wines. I think everybody who has been to Macedonia knows about wines. We have 86 wineries in Macedonia, and the quality of the wines really has made sure that even we in Macedonia cannot find the best quality wine anymore, to find it even in stores and restaurants. A lot of it has already been exported to markets like the US and in China, and recently some of the best quality Macedonian wines are available here in the UK as well. In terms of the mineral and the natural resources, we have quite a lot of metallic and non-metallic natural resources. Historically speaking, Macedonia has been a tectonic and volcanic country, which means that there are lots of opportunities to explore natural minerals, and we have streamlined the processes in terms of getting an exploration license for a period of up to 6 years, and then subsequently getting an exploitation license. And we have actually been one of the leaders in Eastern Europe in terms of streamlining these processes, and quite a lot of companies from Russia, from India, from Canada, France, Israel, Turkey are already on the ground in Macedonia, and not only exploring but exploiting the natural resources of the country, and certainly sending that to the main markets, most of that of course being Asia. And finally, medical devices and pharmaceuticals. Very similar, you saw before quite a lot of companies that have invested in the country are from the automotive and electronics industry. But we believe that the medical devices will be the next step going forward. I'm sure many of you are familiar, about 30 years ago, Ireland was the main location for medical device manufacturing, especially American companies for the European market. It's similar type of mechanical and electrical componentry. We have quite a lot of tradition. One of the largest Macedonian company produces generic drugs and also has certification to sell their pharmaceuticals not only on the US market with FDA approval, but also they have all the relevant approvals of the European Union, which means that we have the quality infrastructure, the quality people, and we're open for receiving investments in these sectors. And finally, I want to touch upon the free economic zones, or the fancy name that we have, technological industrial development zones. Last year, FDI magazine actually ranked the two zones in Skopje among the top 50 free zones of the future. But what is interesting in our case, even though we're not a member of the European Union, we have to still follow rules and regulations of Brussels. And in our case, this type of zones are only allowing manufacturing. So we cannot really compete directly with some of the zones in China or the Gulf. In many cases, those are more about trading, not always about manufacturing. And also there is a seaport or an airport that is actually part of these zones. In our case, we're close to the airport, but we are providing only manufacturing services there. Logistics and everything else can be joined and being close to the zone, but those type of companies actually do not receive these special incentives. And what is important to note, I'll just touch upon one company that was not mentioned before. Johnson Controls was actually the first company that came to Macedonia in terms of a greenfield investment back in 2006. And this is the initial investment of about $40 million that at the moment is employing about 350 people and going up to 500 in the near future. Back in those days, we were competing with countries like Poland, Romania, Slovakia, the usual suspects of Eastern Europe, which even until today, if you ask any of the big consulting companies, they will tell you it usually would be Poland, Romania, Slovakia, Czech Republic, or Romania, where they would give you a potential location for setting up your investment. In our case, what was the main reason? It was the availability of skilled engineers. So what we talked even from the beginning, the human capital. And what is important, this company started a trend that has been followed by all the subsequent investors. They started working very closely with the universities. They created a custom-made program within the mechanical engineering faculty. Junior and senior year of mechanical engineering students had 2 courses that were designed just based on the needs of Johnson Controls. So students would go to this program, would go to a summer internship after finishing their junior year of studies, and afterwards they would pick the best students. That doesn't mean that the rest of the people that are not good enough for Johnson Controls couldn't find a job. There are quite a lot of other foreign companies or other domestic companies that it was very easy for them to find an employment because they actually followed and finished the Johnson Controls program. And based on their initial success, a second investment took place, which is much more labor-intensive investment, producing components for seats, employing close to 1,500 people, and even in a different city in Macedonia. So that means that for any company, there are many opportunities, even not within the same sector. Even a very diversified company like Johnson Matthey, only part of the company is coming to Macedonia, but also there is always opportunities for other things. And just 2 weeks ago, we were again visiting with Johnson Controls in the US. They're already considering further expansion. And in these times of crisis over the last 3 or 4 years in Europe, the fact that we're already talking about another investment, third one, in this case, it's something that speaks volumes in terms of their success in the country. And these are just a couple of slides about their investment project. I think it's important to note the level of details and the depth of analysis they had to go through. They were looking at actually 10 different countries in Eastern Europe and North Africa where they to locate the new manufacturing site, which meant closing a facility in Czech Republic. They went to Czech Republic 15 years ago, but that used to be competitive and low cost at the time. Unfortunately, it is not anymore. So what they did, actually, they indexed the labor of 10 different countries in Eastern Europe and in North Africa compared to the Czech Republic. They put the labor inflation. For them, it's not very important what is the cost now, what will be the cost in at least the next 5 years in order to be competitive and to maintain the business case that they actually developed. And finally, business friendliness for them meant infrastructure, business climate, and existing automotive foreign direct investment. And at the end of the day, even though we did not win on any specific criteria alone, we were chosen because we were cost competitive, business friendly, had good subsidies and good skill base. So this just gives you an input from a large multinational manufacturing company, what level of details, and behind this probably there are 100 different spreadsheets that they had to use to come to this final solution. In terms of the 3 economic zones, there are 14 of these zones around the country in various parts, and the main reason we decided to do this is because many of the capital-intensive, highly technical companies are trying to come to the capital because of the country for 2 reasons. First of all, you get the labor pool there, but you also have the skilled people because of the main universities being in the capital. But at the same time, a lot of the labor-intensive companies are certainly not coming to the capital, not only because they cannot always find the right skill sets, but at the same time the costs, even in a country like Macedonia, the difference can be 20 to 25% in different parts of the country. And what do we offer in these 3 economic zones? First of all, the government is providing the whole infrastructure there. You have a fenced-in location anywhere from 15 up to more than 200 hectares. You have 24-hour surveillance. The customs office is actually within the 3 economic zone, and all the infrastructure is set up and all the utilities are there. You just have to come pick a plot of land, regardless of the size of the plot of land, and set up your facility. But what's very important is the type of incentives that we offer. First of all, you get 10-year corporate and personal income tax holiday. And in the case of Macedonia, personal income tax holiday is actually a benefit to the employer because you would pay the personal income tax to the state on behalf of your employee. There's no value-added tax, there are no property taxes, and there are no custom duties on all raw materials, equipment, and machinery that will be used in the manufacturing process. The government is providing a direct cash subsidy of up to €500,000 based on the level of investment or number of people that you employ. Basically, you will be eligible for the full subsidy if you employ more than 100 people or invest more than €15 million. On top of that, the land would be available on a long-term lease. And think about this, it's a fully developed industrial site where 1 square meter will cost you €0.1 per year. Therefore, you have 1 hectare of a developed industrial land for only €1,000 per year. Technically, you have no land acquisition cost. And finally, the government can be participating in training and job creation grants. But what is very important is that all the incentives that we offer are in line with EU rules and regulations. Yes, because we're not a member of the European Union, we have the flexibility how to get there, especially with the tax holidays, but we have to follow these EU rules and regulations. So no matter when we actually become a member of the European Union, you will be able to fully receive all these benefits. And finally, all of us here are presenting Macedonia as an investment destination. Different institutions of the government can help you in the process of analyzing the country, finding the right location, comparing to the other countries of the region. But in my opinion, that is only the tip of the iceberg. That's probably about 10% of the real work that you have to go through. The real work starts when you make the investment decision, and then you need somebody on the ground to help you. You're coming to a new country that you're not familiar with. No matter how many consultants and lawyers that you engage with, you need somebody within the system to help you. And in our case, in the case of Johnson Controls, Johnson Matthey, Kemet, we as a free zone authority were there to help them from day one. We even had changed legislation that our institution is providing the construction and the operational permits for the companies in the zones. We help you in every step of the way in dealing with customs, in dealing with public revenue office, helping to get work permits for expats, and every type of support that is necessary. And in most cases, this is not support that we offered only to the construction phase. Even if I believe it's been about 5 years for Johnson Matthey being in Macedonia, but that means that we're just a phone call away. And not only myself, not only Minister Samak, but I think both the Prime Minister, the Deputy Prime Minister, everybody knows the plant managers of these companies personally, and I think that distinguishes and differentiates Macedonia from not only the region of Eastern Europe, but even further afield, because we really care for the well-being of these companies and we want them to be profitable and successful. So I will leave you with that and we'll be open for any questions. Thank you.